People, deluded. Good morning, I'm back again. Thank you for tuning back in. Now, last night, or rather this morning, because I've only had around, well, we kicked off at, what time did we kick off? 4 o'clock. I went to bed at midnight, so that's 4 hours. After the match was done and the reviews and that, I had a 20-minute nap. So I've had 4 hours and 20 minutes sleep, people. So, for those who've watched my review, I'm back again. But if you've watched the Arsenal game, 2-1 victory over Bayern Munich, you saw everything. There was probably where we need to improve defensively. You saw a glimpse into if we counter attack sides more often, what we can do. And you saw our young players, and you have been seeing our young players in the 180 minutes we played so far in pre-season. Now, Tyrese John Jules, you lot know me, I like him as a footballer. I don't care if he makes it at Arsenal or not. I mean, obviously I do, but what I mean by that is I'm going to support him and follow him wherever, because he's a player I've got a lot of time for. First and foremost, he's a bloody good young footballer. I've only seen, and what I like actually more than his technical abilities is his elite mentality. He's not phased. The only times I've seen him lose composure is against Derby in the under-18s final, where he had a terrible penalty. I've seen him score penalties, but I'm going to be fair, that was a terrible penalty. And actually, earlier on, where he should have scored against Munich, man. I don't know how he missed that, because he scores that at any level in his sleep. But I've got a lot of time for him, man. I know everybody's on the Eddie and Nketiah hype train, and I like Eddie as well. And he's the most, in terms of travelling and stuff and being around with the squad based on last season, Eddie is the young striker, more ahead. But I got a lot of time for Tyrese John Jules, man. I think he's got a lot to his game, man. Obviously, he's a striker. He'll need to score goals, to which he does in abundance. I think he can even be more prolific at 23's level, personally. But he scores goals. I like that. I think he's the best young striker we have with his back to goal. He's very good with his back to goal. His hold up play is good. Very good with both feet technically as well. Brings other people into games. You've seen him play that 10 role. What I mean by that is obviously it's not Mesut Ozil, but he can play that sort of support striker role and bring people in, man. He's got I don't know, man. He's a clinical striker, but he's got. I don't want to say the name Giroud. I don't feel that does him any justice. But you know, Giroud, the one strength Giroud actually had was hold up play, bringing people in. I think he's got elements of that with the modern day striker. I think he's extremely clinical. I like him a lot. It's scary that he's only 18 years of age. I think me, I won't be surprised, people, if he doesn't. He surely is in line for a renewed deal. And me personally, surely if I was him or people around him, you'd think he's going to go on loan between now and next season. I'd even retract that and say probably January. I say that because while I think he could be slightly more prolific at 23's level, it's not going to develop him. I see a lot of these players, specific to Tyrese, bullying man at this level, strengthening out guys, scoring goals. He needs to test himself. He is someone that wants to test himself. He strikes me as someone that wants to test himself and get to the next level. He's 19 in January. There's no rush, but I honestly don't believe 23's football is going to develop him and Eddie. I really like Tyrese. You saw him lay on a teammate, but actually set up Eddie in the game against Munich. He had a decent showing against Colorado. Obviously, you remember in Dubai, he scored his first goal. He's been on the cusp of the first team in the Europa League and whatnot. This season, Emre said he will give chances in the Europa League to young players. You'd be inclined to believe he's going to make his official professional debut at Arsenal. Hopefully it's at the Emirates, because it'll be a nice touch for him and his family. Because obviously he joined Arsenal at a young age. His goal is to be a professional footballer, which he's doing. Goal is obviously, I don't know if he supported Arsenal as a youngster, but I assume it was to play for Arsenal, score a goal, and that's something we've all dreamed of. And he's done it in Dubai, but you want to do that in a different capacity. We're always linked with strikers, and maybe if Emery didn't deem Eddie Nketiah good enough last season to use him already, then fair enough. But you'd be inclined to believe that it's going to be Lacazette and Aubameyang, and there might be scarce game time beyond the cup competitions for the young strikers. But I would like Tyrese to be used, man. I think he's going to be a good player in the future, but not everybody has to be this maverick, this Kylian Mbappe to develop at the club. I think he can be a good option within the side and someone that we could use in the future. He's Arsenal DNA. He's a good player. He still needs to improve a lot of things and develop, but I've got a lot of time for Tyrese, man. It's scary. It's scary how good I think he can become. Obviously, I've got a lot of bias. I like Tyrese John Jules a lot, man. He was that little age group of first year scholars, the Vontaes, the Amici, the Tyreses. I've got a lot of time for all of them. They're all sick. When was the first time I saw Tyrese? Who was it against? I can't even remember, but it was at Arsenal's training ground, and he wasn't actually playing up front. He was playing in that sort of withdrawn 10 position of sorts, and he was just, I don't know, man. He was bullying people. His balance, the way he shields the ball, grabbed me first, but it was his link-up play. He plays with his head up. He has this sort of calmness. I really like Tyrese, man, and I believe that if him or Eddie don't go on to be regular first teamers of some sorts, whether that's a Welbeck sort of thing or a regular first name on the team sheet, it'd be a shame. We've got some good young players here. Not everybody's gonna make it. It's naive to think Martinelli, despite he was bought for 6 million. Martinelli, John Jules, Eddie, Balogun, Greenwood, the ones that we probably talk immediately of, Saka, Amici, Nelson, Emil. It's naive to believe 10, 11 young players are gonna make it, but for me, there's about 4 or 5, I'd say a push 6 that I believe should be given chances. There's 3 I believe definitely should be given chances. Tyrese should be. If I was him, I'd probably try and go out on loan in January, admittedly, people, because I believe he's ready to test himself against grown men, to test himself against the backdrop where the games mean something. Beyond the occasional cup competition at 18s and 23s level, the games don't mean nothing beyond challenging for the league title if they are at that level or just winning the game. Obviously, I love him as a young player, but if he goes on loan to whatever club, they're not going to care that it's Tyrese John Jules, the young player. They're just going to see a young striker or a striker coming into their club, and they want to see goals. I believe he's ready, man. I believe he's ready, man. I believe first and foremost we've got to tie him down to a new deal, because you see in the papers all the time he's linked with a lot of clubs, and it is a fact he is being watched by a lot of European scouts, and there was a lot of interest in his services last year. Hopefully we can tie him down, man. I believe, like I made in another vid, I believe he done all he could to be involved in pre-season in regards to the tour, and he has been, man, and I think he's set for a good future in the game. Obviously, I'm not here to say he can be this, that, and the other, and that's something that's going to come into his game. A lot of people, sadly, will look at him and say, oh, you're not good because you're a young player, you're not prolific, which makes no sense. I really like him, man. If I had to say what I like the most about him, is his composure and his link-up play. He's a good goal scorer, but I believe that's just the icing on top of the cake. Obviously, at the end of the day, whatever way you cut it, young players have to be able to score goals. Young strikers have to be able to score goals, and he's got that. I believe he can, if he keeps developing, God willing, he stays fit and free from injuries, he could be a terrific player, man, for somebody if not here. I believe the same for Eddie. I'm seeing Eddie develop. I think Eddie's added more things into his game. He's starting to get his head up a bit more and contributing in terms of general play, because it's all fun and games being able to score. You need to be able to do other things, to be fair with you. Admittedly, people, I actually think Tyrese has more to his game than Eddie, personally, but I like them both. Balogun probably needs to sharpen up on his decision making to get first team chances, and hopefully he adjusts at 23s. I really like Joe Willock's appearance. I feel Joe Willock could surprise a few. He's developing quietly but rapidly, if that makes sense. Like physically, last season he's come up a long way. He's become a bit more rugged. You can see with the appearance he made under Emre last season and obviously under Wenger, getting that under his belt, he becomes more of assured of himself. He believes he's a first teamer now. 23's football will not serve Joe Willock if he's not going to be given an honest chance, and whether that's starting with Xhaka in the lineup on a match day or whoever, or competing against these individuals, he needs to go out alone, because 23's will be a disservice to him. In fact, I think it would be a year of regression if he's still playing that, because he bullies them. Check or trade, even against grown men, he's doing nutmegs and things like that. I believe Joe needs to either play here or go somewhere consistently. He's playing week in, week out. We've got some scary young players here, man. I really like John Jules. I really like Saka. I really like Amici. If Amici's given chances, I don't know what's going on in that regards. There's a lot of players. Malcolm Ebowe in the under 16s now will be for the new season. Again, he's a long way away from being in the picture, but if you just let him develop and stuff, he could be a terrific player. We've got some terrific players in this academy. I honestly believe that, people. I honestly believe we've got some good players within this academy. Not all are going to make it, but some need to make it. And whether that's becoming regulars, becoming squad players, becoming additions into the side, we need to do that, man, because the academy will help us develop players and help us make money and things like that. We need to get it right, man. And obviously we need to use our academy even more so, and off the back of clubs are losing people to top teams in Europe everywhere. We're losing players every time. You're seeing Musa allegedly is going to Valencia. We lost Okaflex to Celtic, who I believe could have a good season for Celtic, or a season of progression, getting chances. He had a decent pre-season. I might do a video about it, but he had a decent pre-season game for them. Can't remember who they played, but he definitely scored. So it is happening, and Chelsea have obviously lost Muslara? I can never say his name, to Munich. That guy there is a baller, people. I think he's actually born in Germany, so England and Germany might have a pull and pull for his future. That guy there is a baller. But back to Arsenal, if you've got the Maitland-Niles, the Joe Willocks, the Tyreses, Tyrese Jules, the Reece Nelsons, the Emil Smith-Rowes, the Sakas, the Amichis, and if 3 or 4 of these players don't progress to your first team, there's something wrong. And I think that's where Ljungberg within the first team picture is going to come into it. If you hear Emre's comments about Burton, how he didn't know who he was, I do think Emre takes an interest in the academy, but I think that promotion, more than Ljungberg just being a good manager and deserving it, is to show the young players there's a pathway, we're looking, because Emre said that Ljungberg told him about Burton, so how many other players doesn't he know about? Of course, Emre's got a million things to focus on. Admittedly, I would like him to make a point of knowing the young players a bit more, whether he knows them or not, or includes them or not, because it makes people believe there's a pathway here, really. But I don't know what he's doing and what he's not doing, but yeah, man, the future is bright. Of course, these young players need patience. You look at the Bayern Munich game, Tyrese and Eddie were on for 5 minutes. If we play them for 10 games in the Premier League, you don't know what you're going to get. That's not a criticism on them. That's a criticism on fans that will hype these players up and then kill them when they're having bad games. You don't feel there'll be games where Tyrese is unplayable and then he's anonymous and then he's unplayable. These young players, and Saka the same, Amici the same, Nelson the same, etc., etc. Willock the same. It's happened to Willock already and people killed him and now they're praising him. Do you get it? These lot are still developing. They don't have 100 career appearances between them, so how can you really critique them? They're still developing. They're going to make mistakes. You have to be prepared for these young players to make mistakes, to not be switched on, and most importantly, not be proactive in certain situations, whether that's closing men down or marking players. But it's just that let's just let them develop. Let's just see what they can do. Let's just give them all our support, man. There's not really a purpose of this vid. So on that topic, or in regards to this, I'm going to keep it moving. People, thank you for watching each and every time. DG.